Hey everybody, I can't believe I'm about to say these words, but another night, another movie. I haven't done one of these for 6 years. So just to recap, for those who don't know, which is probably most of you, basically 6 years ago, for over 100 nights consecutively, even when I went away to conventions, I watched a movie and then got straight up in front of the camera and gave my thoughts and feelings on them. Like, no thinking, no, just off the cuff. And like I say, I did that for over 100 nights and I just got burnt out. And that's why I haven't done one since. But it's Halloween week and I thought, you know what, let's just have a nice little fun trial run, if you will, to see if I want to come back and do this anymore or that. I thought, you know what, with it being Halloween week, let's pick a spooky movie. Except I didn't pick a spooky movie. I picked a series of horror movies that I thought would be fun to do for the week. And tonight we have got 2004's Saw, starring Cary Elwes, co-writer Lee Wannell, Michael Emerson, Danny Glover, Ken Leung, Monica Potter. It's actually a pretty good cast list for like a small title, indie title, if you will. Because my history with this, I had never heard of it when it first came out. It was only because I used to go to this movie store where they sold, you know, DVDs and LPs and CDs and that, and I would browse through the DVDs and see what I fancied, and I was going through and I'd picked out a load of movies that I knew, and I saw this and I was like, I don't know what this is. It looked creepy and that, and I was like, I'll just give it a try. I think it was relatively cheap and I just picked it up, and then when I watched it, it was one of those like M. Night Shyamalan, I can never pronounce his name, sorry, Shyamalan, you know, the twist at the end, which unfortunately with subsequent movies and, you know, rewatches, you're like, that doesn't even make sense. But before I get too much into that stuff, bear in mind, there will be spoilers for a nearly 20-year-old movie. Let's talk about the summary, the plot, because so you've got Dr. Lawrence Gordon, played by Cary Elwes, and Adam, played by Lee Wannell. They wake up in this bathroom, and it turns out, and they're being told, one's being told to kill the other one by a set time, and they're trying to figure out how they got there, why they got there, and in the process of flashbacks, we find out that there's this jigsaw killer who doesn't actually kill, he kills via other people, except his mantra is trying to help people appreciate their life more and stuff. And we learn via process that it turns out it's one of this patient that's at Dr. Gordon's hospital, John, played by Tobin Bell, who is he has a frontal lobe tumour and is dying, and I think in subsequent movies we find out he had this car crash and that, and there's a whole other, that we'll get to that when we get to those movies. But the basic thing is he's got this cancer and he's trying to get people, you know, that don't appreciate their lives, be it they're junkies, be it they're you know, just scumbags. And I think that's the thing that sets actually this movie apart from the rest of the series. This movie is very psychological. It has moments that feel very much like David Fincher's Seven, just where you see like the kill rooms and stuff. But there is so much James Wan's direction here. You know, there's so much the power of suggestion. You know, you see, say, this guy that's in this room with broken glass, and he's told that he's covered in, you know, gas or something, flammable liquid, and he's got to hold this candle, and then you see this very rapid shot of him running around while holding his candle, and then just, the whole screen fills with flame and stuff like that. You don't see the kills. It's all implied. Now, unfortunately, later movies, they just go, no, we gotta see that. And I guess that's because as the series got more big budget and just more popular, But I think this is an amazing movie just from the psychological, and I love psychological thrillers. I do think some of the acting is a little hammy at times, and I have problems with, so you find out, so the twist is that John, the jigsaw killer, has been laying on the floor in this room the whole time, listening to him and stuff like that. And I think the indication is that he is the one who electrocutes them via the chains when they get electrocuted. But they never see him move to operate this button or anything like that. And you're like, wait. And I just don't know. I mean, a lot of people have talked about this since. How the hell he just lays there completely motionless. He doesn't fart. He doesn't cough. He doesn't anything. For, I don't remember what time the timer starts. But he's at least there for a good couple of hours, especially while they're doing all their flashback, exposition flashbacks. It's just, and I always thought maybe he'd, especially as somebody who's clearly got a cough, and that, I don't know where this cough comes from, seeing as it was a frontal lobe issue, and that's the other thing. He has this frontal lobe tumour, and I think it's later announced that it was like in regression or something like that. I could be wrong. Like I say, I haven't seen the sequels for forever. I haven't seen this one. I've seen this about half dozen times, but I haven't seen it, you know, a lot since. But I, you know, it's just, I don't get how he lays there for that long. Now, I always thought maybe he'd had a sleeping tablet, tranquilizer or something, but seeing as he does electrocute Adam and Gordon, that can't be the case. So yeah, he gets up at the end and that, and you're just like, how? And I think there's a number of plot holes here, especially with Michael Emerson's Zepp, who is an orderly, who I don't get why John accosts, because Zepp was actually nice to John. He was, when the doctors were all going, the patient is this and the patient and that is, and completely ignoring John, Zepp was the one who was like, the guy's name is John, you know, he's a really nice guy, you know, he's an interesting guy in that, and nobody cares. And it just it weirds me out that John would then, like, you then get the twist at the end where it turns out that Zepp has been, you know, forced to kidnap Gordon's wife and child and that, and hold them at gunpoint, and you're like, okay. And it turns out that Zepp was given a poison or whatever, to make sure he did what he was told, and I'm like, I don't get the impression that this guy was, but then at the same time you're supposed to feel bad for this guy, and this is the inconsistency with his character, is that you see him with the mother and Gordon's mother, wife and daughter, and he's like holding a gun to them, and then holding a stethoscope to listen to their hearts and stuff. And he does this whole creep. What Emerson does quite well is this creepy, sinister voice to just make you go, ooh, chills. So I'm like, so is this guy actually a psychopath? Because he acts until, like, at the end where you're like, oh, he's being forced to do this, you know, when he realizes it's time to kill the wife and daughter, he's like rocking back and forth, and you feel bad for him. It's like, no, this guy's a dick. So there are a number of inconsistencies here that I do not like, that really take away from this. And like I say, there are some acting choices by some people. Lee Wannell, who co-wrote this, is not the best at acting, but, you know, again, they were working on a budget and stuff like that. Danny Glover's Detective Tapp is just annoying as all hell. I get the idea that he was broken by this case and he becomes obsessed with it, but it makes no sense that he would be watching some stranger looking out of Gordon's window, and he's like, who are you? Does the doctor know you're at home with his wife? And you're like, just find out what's going on over there. But yeah, there are a number of inconsistencies, but genuinely, I enjoy this movie every time I watch it, no matter how much I know what happens at the end, no matter how much I know what happens in the following movies. I still always enjoy this one, and there's just something about Cary Elwes' desperation as he gets more and more desperate to get out of there, and the screaming, and just when he chops off his foot, which is genuinely, again, it's a lot of it is you do see him cutting, but a lot of it is the power of suggestion, and yeah, it's bone chilling. It's not hobbling in misery level horrifying, but it is just his, as he's gripping onto the shirt in his teeth and that, it's genuinely, for me, I just genuinely cringe inside. I think this is visually a really well directed movie, and I think for what it is, I think it's a lot of fun, and it's sad where the series went. That, you know, they didn't really, they went more for the torture porn side of things than just that building tension that this one does so well. But yeah, I actually really recommend this. If you've heard of the follow-up movies, and you've been put off, I really recommend. If you want a good psychological horror movie, it's very simplistic. It's mainly based in this one bathroom. You know, you have your two main characters, and all the flashbacks can get a little ridiculous, and in this desperate need to show you know, exposition, especially then when you see this character Amanda, played by Shawnee Smith, this junkie who escaped this reverse bear trap, who becomes more important in the follow-up movie. You know, some of the flashbacks just feel there to, say, introduce a character like that, or yeah, they just feel a bit clunky at times, especially when you're like, oh, Adam doesn't have his memory, but now he remembers, and after Gordon has given his flashbacks, and you're like, okay. But otherwise, no, I really, it's not perfect by any means, but I always enjoy it. But yeah, that's 2004 Saw. I highly recommend it if you get the chance. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Tomorrow I will be back with the sequel, Saw 2, originally named. I was going to try and come up with a funny tagline for it, but can't be, it's too late. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. Please take care, and I'll see you somewhere down the line.